So, claims about solution or policy. These call for an enactment of a policy, law, or rule. So, whether that rule or law should go into effect is the debatable part. So, first you must demonstrate what the problem is and then provide the solution. And this sort of takes the form of our stakeholder proposal because you're establishing a problem and then providing a solution. But it's less focused on the step by step instructions for the solution and more focused on just moving someone to take action. And this often includes the word should. So let's look at some examples of that. A non debatable example is that drunk drivers should be punished. We can all pretty much agree that people shouldn't be drunk driving on the streets. So it's not really debatable. Debatable example is that universities should implement stricter standards for admission. Some people don't believe this, some people do. That's why it's debatable. But note that the word should is right there after universities. Um, so this is what makes it a claim about solution or policy, that we're talking about implementing some kind of policy. And so just some examples here. Your research question could be, what are the impacts of GTAs being allowed to teach classes instead of instructors or professors? And what are the benefits or drawbacks to having GTAs? So, how would you answer that right now? Why is it important? And here is just an example response to that. GTAs provide a valuable service that allows instructors and professors to focus on their teaching and research. And GTAs are often more accessible than professors of large courses. So students would have more one-on-one contact with GTAs. However, some departments offer training in various forms. This is not often not enough to support for many GTAs, which can make them feel underprepared to teach. So here we're looking at both sides of the issue. And if this is your thesis statement, play with the wording of the thesis to create a different kind of claim. So if we wanted to make that above statement a cause and effect, we could say that lack of training can cause poor GTA performance in the classroom and limit learning experiences of students. So we're saying lack of training causes limited learning for students. That's how it's a cause and effect. If we want to look at value, it says providing GTA training and support is the most important step that universities can take to improve GTA experiences and learning. So we're saying that it's important for GTAs to have training and support. That's a claim of value. You're assessing the worth of the training. And then the last one at the bottom is a solution or policy claim. And this one says GTAs should receive additional training and support before they step into their first classroom. So we notice immediately after the word GTA is that should word, and it's talking about implementing some kind of solution for the current problem. So these are how you can frame your thesis and your argument in a few different ways, even if you're saying the same thing in each thesis. So it's really up to you what kind of a claim you want to establish in your argument, but know that this will determine the overall form that your argument takes. So we're not going to do this activity because we are not in class, so I'll skip that. Supporting your argument, here's a logos appeal. So writers build claims by providing reasons to show their claim to be true. So your argument structure is based on your reasons and your evidence. And since reasons are often opinions, they all need evidence that is going to support them. So this evidence can include firsthand observations, examples from personal experience, statistics, facts, and quotations from your research, and results of field research like interviews. So your choices of evidence should reflect your purpose, your audience, and the context. So depending on what the purpose and the audience are, for instance, that will probably shape what kind of research you provide. The writer needs to provide connections, explanations, and interpretations to make the evidence meaningful. So we call that development for audience. You did a little bit of this in A2, but I just wanted to clear that up. Development for audience is simply any time that you include a direct quote from a source, you want to make sure that you're explaining what that means and how it relates to your point that you're making. So, supporting your argument structure. So, your claim or your thesis is going to sum up your argument in a sentence or two, and then you're going to have your reasons. So, reason one is going to have those pieces of evidence, reason two is going to have other pieces of evidence, and the reasons are why your audience should believe your claim. And then the evidence is either statistic or data or examples or stories, something that is going to illustrate the claim that you're making. And building your argument structure. So let's follow this path of thought here. Sometimes it snows a lot in Fort Collins. CSU usually stays open and campus is rarely closed. After some research into the issue, say that you decide that CSU should close more often when it snows. How might you support this thesis to this audience, the CSU administration? So that's the thesis. The CSU administration should consider closing campus more often during and after heavy snows. So, what reasons would you use to support your thesis? What reasons would appeal to the CSU administration specifically? And then, what evidence would you look for to illustrate those reasons? So, if we were in class, we would be doing a class activity to develop sort of like reasons that would support this argument for the CSU administration. Because the reasons for the CSU administration would likely look very different from the reasons you would give, a student for not going to class when it snows. So just think about what that audience values and how you would structure that with evidence and research. So creating support for your claim. You want to consider your audience and their values and expectations and assumptions about the issue and how they relate to your claim. So, is your audience resistant? Are they already in agreement? And then you want to identify 3 to 6 reasons that are going to support your claim. The more resistant that your audience is, the more support you're going to want. So, when I'm talking about support, I'm talking about valid reasons and valid evidence that supports those reasons. And for each reason, you then want to consider what type of evidence you have or need to find to illustrate and support this reason. You should have at least 2 pieces of evidence for each reason, but more is always better. So then we start to write a claim. So I want you guys at home to start working with a claim or thesis. What you think you plan to argue essentially, and how you think you want to do that. So, do you want to establish a claim of policy or solution, a claim of cause and effect, a claim of value? And then look for reasons and evidence to support this claim. So, you may return to your claim and then revise and focus it as you continue to build your research. But just this is something to keep in mind for now. For homework, I'll actually just post this homework on the homework page, but you will be reading How Can I Draft My Thesis in the textbook, joining the conversation. And then I want you to download the Developing Your Claim worksheet and answer the following questions on there. And then obviously you won't be printing the worksheet or bringing it to class, but I do want you to turn that in, and I'll make sure to open up an assignment page for that. And then read Grosscoop's Science is warning us that a food crisis is coming to southern Africa, and will we stop it? This can be found in your Few Reader. And as you read, look at the way in which he does or does not reference the images he's used. How does this affect you as a reader? So, yeah, I want you guys to do that reading. I will have a discussion post for you to complete on Sunday for that. And you will also have a place to submit that claims sheet. All right. Thank you all for tuning in this week. And as always, please let me know if you have any questions or concerns, doubts. Email me if you want to have face-to-face conferences. Also, email me, let me know, and we'll make that happen, okay? And I'll hear from you all next week.